Kyle Richards reveals where she stands with Bozoma St. John. Kyle Richards and Bozoma Boz St. John experienced their highs and lows with one another throughout the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills Season 14. More on that down below. But Kyle is now giving a look into where they stand today, following the taping of the RHOB Season 14 reunion, which filmed in February. Kyle recently took to briefing on Bravo, where she revealed that things are great between her and Boz, 2 months after they filmed the reunion. "She's been great, texting me, it's great," she said. Where Kyle Richards and Dorit Kemsley stand today. This could be because Kyle is now on good terms with Boz's very good friend and fellow RHOBH cast member, Dorit Kemsley. Dorit and Kyle had been feuding throughout RHOBH Season 14, but during a separate briefing on Bravo live stream, Kyle said that she and Dorit are in such a great place today. "Dorit and I are good, I'm happy to say," Kyle admitted. "We worked things out during the season, and then, of course, had to go over things again at the reunion, which is always tricky, but I'm happy to say we're in a better place." They proved that things were much better between them when Kyle invited Dorit to her daughter Alexia Umansky's engagement party. Dorit and Kyle snapped a photo alongside Alexia and RHOBH alums, Teddy Mellencamp and Lisa Rinna, which Kyle posted to Instagram. Details on Kyle Richards and Bozoma St. John's RHOBH Season 14 reunion feud. During the RHOBH Season 14 reunion, Boz accused Kyle of lying about the texts that she sent to Dorit's ex-husband, Paul P.K. Kemsley. But Kyle shot back by saying that she's never been accused of being a liar. "You said you were texting jokes and memes, and then it was discovered you said something else," Boz replied. "In the conversations that I was a part of, you said it was just jokes and memes, and then it later came out that it was more than that," she continued. "So, from my perspective, which is all I was talking about, there wasn't a mission. Omission equals lies." Bozoma St. John says Kyle Richards can be cold. During one RHOBH Season 14 confessional, Boz admitted that she finds Kyle to be cold. She reiterated this during an episode of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills after show. "My opinion on how Kyle is behaving is my opinion, and no one can tell me that that's wrong. I think that Kyle was cold to me," she explained to Dorit. "I don't take that back at all, she was." Kyle, on the other hand, was confused by these claims. "It genuinely just hurt my feelings because I was having a completely different experience," she said during the RHOBH after show. "So you had lunch with my sister, Kathy Hilton, and then you felt comfortable enough to say that to my sister, Kathy Hilton? That's weird and doesn't even feel true." Diamonds and misunderstandings. The Beverly Hills sun shone high over the Pacific Palisades, where Kyle Richards sat cross-legged on a plush chaise lounge by her pool. Her phone buzzed beside her Aperol spritz. She glanced at the screen. "Bozoma St. John, thinking about lunch next week? XX, Boz." Kyle blinked. She hadn't expected that message, at least not this soon. 2 months earlier, she'd sat across from Boz on the reunion stage, the air crackly with tension. Cameras zoomed in on narrowed eyes, raised brows, and a conversation that had set Bravo Twitter on fire for days. But now this, a casual lunch invite from the woman who, not long ago, called her cold in a confessional? Kyle smiled softly. Maybe Beverly Hills really was the land of second chances. Or maybe, just maybe, Boz wasn't the enemy after all. New faces, old wounds. When Bozoma Boz St. John joined the cast of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills for its 14th season, the Bravoverse erupted. A former CMO of Netflix, a global icon in branding, and a woman known for her vibrant fashion and even more vibrant opinions, Boz didn't just walk into RHOBH, she stormed in. Kyle had been wary, not because she was threatened by Boz, far from it. She'd weathered 14 seasons of shifting alliances, feuds, and friendships. But something about Boz's poise, her Harvard-trained wit, made Kyle tread carefully. Their first few weeks together were fine, cordial, even friendly. Boz had complimented Kyle's hosting at her white party reimagined, even stayed late chatting by the fire pit about raising daughters in the spotlight. But the peace fractured one crisp October afternoon at Dorrit Kemsley's fashion brunch. "I just think honesty is the baseline," Boz had said over champagne, her voice smooth but sharp. "When someone says, 'I only sent jokes and memes,' and then it's clear they sent more than that, it feels like gaslighting." Kyle's jaw tightened. The air seemed to freeze. A camera zoomed in. The Bravo music crescendoed. Viewers knew a storm was brewing. Group chats and group fractures. At the center of the rift wasn't just Boz and Kyle. It was the ghost of a group chat and a slew of text messages Kyle had sent to Paul P.K. Kemsley, Dorrit's now ex-husband. The messages were lighthearted, Kyle had insisted, jokes, a few memes, nothing inappropriate. But Dorrit wasn't amused. And when Boz backed Dorrit up, suggesting that Kyle had downplayed her communication with PK, the tension escalated. "I've never been accused of being a liar," Kyle snapped at the reunion, her tone clipped. Boz didn't flinch. "It's not about calling you a liar, it's about the omission. Omissions are misleading, and misleading is dishonest." The room went quiet. Andy Cohen looked between them like a referee before a final round. What the cameras didn't show was that Kyle didn't sleep the night after that reunion. It wasn't the accusation that stung. It was the fact that someone she was trying to get to know, someone who could have been a friend, had judged her so harshly. The path to something better. But reality TV rarely captures the full story. It skips over the quiet moments. The texts sent after cameras stop rolling, the late-night conversations, the unexpected apologies. Boz had texted Kyle the night after the reunion. "I stand by what I said, but I want to find a way forward. We're both stronger than this." Kyle hadn't responded right away, but the message had lingered in her mind, like a melody she couldn't forget. It was during Alexia's engagement party, weeks later, that something shifted. Kyle had been nervous about inviting both Dorrit and Boz. She'd braced for side glances, for passive-aggressive toasts. But instead, Boz had shown up in a lavender wrap dress and embraced Kyle warmly. "I hope you know I want peace," Boz whispered, "even if I still think you were shady." Kyle had laughed, surprised. "Maybe I was, but not the way you think." Over coffee and truths. That text, the one by the pool. Kyle accepted the lunch invitation. They met at Sacconi's, a West Hollywood staple where housewives' history ran thick in the air. Boz was already seated, sunglasses pushed up into her curls, a green juice in hand. "I almost didn't text you," she admitted after they ordered. "But something about this season, it felt unfinished, and I don't like leaving things broken." Kyle nodded. "I felt the same. I didn't like how things ended at the reunion. You hit a nerve, but maybe I needed to hear it." Boz raised an eyebrow. "You're admitting I was right." Kyle grinned. "Don't get used to it." They both laughed. They talked for 2 hours about more than Bravo. About daughters and careers, about fame and grief, about growing into women who weren't afraid of confrontation, but valued connection more. "I still think you can be cold," Boz said at one point. Kyle chuckled. "I think I get guarded. It's my defense, especially after all this time on the show." Boz nodded. "Fair." It wasn't a resolution with glitter and confetti, but it was real, the kind of truce that mattered. Echoes of the past, signals of the future. By spring, the energy around the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills felt different. Kyle and Dorrit were back to texting daily, memes included. The infamous messages to PK had become a joke, even among the cast. Boz had found her rhythm too. Viewers warmed up to her authenticity, her willingness to call things out without being cruel. She was opinionated, yes, but also open. One day, during a live briefing on Bravo Stream, Kyle smiled when asked about Boz. She's been great. Texting me. It's great, she said simply and meant it. The audience lit up. Comments flooded the chat. Queen behavior from both. Boz and Kyle. Unexpected but iconic duo. RHOBH needs more of this mature energy. But not everything was fixed. Lisa Rinna, ever the provocateur, had recently commented on an Instagram live. Kyle's always had a bit of a blind spot with new women. Boz shook that up. Kyle saw the clip, rolled her eyes, and sent it to Boz. Kyle, look who's chiming in. Boz, is she ever not messy? They both laughed. Sisterhood, champagne, and something real. It was a warm Thursday night when Boz found herself invited to a very exclusive gathering, Kyle's intimate girls' night at her Encino home. Just a few women, no cameras, no glam squads, just tequila, sushi, and stories. Dorit was there too. There had been tears earlier, about PK, about the pain of divorcing someone who once felt like you're forever. Kyle had hugged her tightly. You'll be okay. You always are. When Boz arrived, Dorit raised a brow. Didn't expect you here, she said, but her tone wasn't unfriendly. Didn't expect to be invited, Boz replied honestly. But I'm glad I came. As the night wore on, Boz found herself laughing more than she had in weeks. Kyle was a different person off camera. Warmer, softer. At one point, Kyle stood to toast. To old friends, she said, raising her glass and surprising new ones. Everyone clinked. Diamonds may cut, but they also shine. They weren't best friends. Maybe they never would be.